Losing somebody significant in your life is an experience that is terrible for anybody. And while I don't feel that Jun Maeda and Studio Key's anime adaptations or originals cover all facets of this emotion, whenever they do cover it, sometimes they knock it out of the park. This is a quick review of The Day I Became a God, or Kamisama ni Nata Hi, the anime original done by PA Works, written by Jun Maeda and directed by Yoshiyuki Asai, who did Charlotte and Fate Apocrypha. Now, unfortunately, when you talk about this, you kind of have to cover the bases. The adaptations of Studio Key and Jun Maeda's work have not been that great recently. Now, granted, I'm not as critical as most people are with Charlotte. I thought it was a okay anime. It did have some lulling points, had an okay kind of twist at the end of it. But my perspective of Key and Jun Maeda is more my love for their original works back in the day, like Clannad and Air TV. They're some of my favorites. Season 1 of Little Busters was fantastic as well. But then when you add in, at least for me anyways, the second season of Little Busters, then get into things like Rewrite, which unfortunately probably should have never happened, it gets a little... People's trust of them starts to slowly dwindle. And I think The Day I Became a God had a lot of expectations on it based on the idea of, can they bring it back? Can they get back to what made them so great? Can they live up to the expectations we have placed upon them for their great works they did before? And I think that The Day I Became a God is kind of a refreshing return to the formula that I love so much with their works. It's that idea of introducing characters, having fun with them for a while, just to kind of get to know them. And then, of course, as you would know, eventually punch you in the stomach later on when they start going through, extreme emotions and the things they're going through. Granted, with this one particularly, especially only being a single core, it didn't have much to work with in regards to time. Yeah, we could possibly get a sequel going forward in the future, but as it stands now, 12 episodes is not much time to really work with in order to explore each and every character. And I feel that, at least for an emotional side, we really only got that for about 2 characters, which is fine because those 2 characters were significantly emotional for sure. And it's that portrayal of essentially what for those 2 characters is loss. It was an experience that I, felt almost rivaled their previous works with Clannad and Air TV and Angel Beats. Now, the thing that really hits me the most is, and this is more of a personal thing, because I think with anybody, when they watch a show or engage in a story or read a book, the relatability is something that can take something from what could be a mediocre show or a great show and ascend it even further. It's just something, a personal bias that ends up including itself no matter if you want to it or not. That's why some people can watch a show and think it is a terrible show, but then somebody else watches it and pretty much sees themselves in it and goes, man, I can relate to that character. They did a fantastic job with that. How can, just for a random example, if there's a show that's talking about somebody with a mental illness, somebody that doesn't have anybody in their life that has a mental illness would probably see it maybe being as cheesy or overdone. But then somebody that has somebody in their life that has a mental illness, they go, yeah, that's exactly how it happens, and they act like that. And that's kind of the same experience that I had with a portion of this particular show. It's a personal experience that I've been through, and it caught me. And that's the, again, can you trust somebody's opinion on a show based on the fact that their own experiences essentially amplify the emotion of a scene, whereas most people, a common person that have not experienced that, may not get that same experience. And that's something that I had with this particular show. It was this personal experience with a certain character kind of losing themselves, I guess is the best way to put it without getting too spoilerly. Losing themselves, and that idea that most people around them want to engage but they can't anymore. And that was something that I think was what set this show as being a lot greater than it may be for most people. And that's not to say it doesn't have anything else additional in there. Especially early on, like I said, most of the beginning of the show was that similar format that I enjoyed so much with the previous shows literally shows that they have done in the past, where It kind of introduces the characters and then just goes kind of through some shenanigans. And it's that kind of peak great comedy writing that I've always enjoyed. And granted, comedy is definitely subjective. For me personally, it worked. I enjoyed these kind of goofy videos they did, what they were doing for the sister, and it would kind of have these goofy little kind of parodies of different American movies like Rocky and Armageddon that just were icing on the cake for me. And for those who don't know what the series is about, essentially it's this boy named Yota, and at some point when he's hanging out with his friend, a girl shows up, a small girl shows up, and she claims that she's Odin. She's a god. And after some discussions, he tells him, hey, look, the world's going to end soon. And he kind of shrugs it off, but over time, he finds out that she actually has this power to almost see the future. And so that kind of gives a little bit of weight to what she's saying as she kind of correctly chooses the winner of a horse race and some other stuff. He kind of slowly realizes, hey, this girl can actually see the future. Maybe this is a reality. The world's going to end. And that was kind of the grim thing that they put at the beginning, and it definitely is something you hold through the entire series of like, is it really going to end? Is this all for nothing? It kind of turns into this whole thing where he's like, oh, well, if I'm going to have one thing, I might as well have the girl that I love so much that I've always loved, see if I can get her on a date. And that's kind of the thing that builds the shenanigans over time. If I had to be critical, I think the only thing that really did kind of put a slight stain on it, and it's probably the only thing that did put a stain on it, to be honest, is Hiroto. Now, granted, Hiroto, in the end, I love the character. He's fantastic. But the way they kind of injected his story parallel to the main characters throughout the series was like, why do we keep coming to this guy? Well, what's the point of this guy? And granted, eventually you do find the point of him, but it's like he felt very out of place most of the time, and almost to the point where whenever he did show up on the screen, it was like, oh, okay, well, my attention span starts kind of slipping away because I really don't get the point of him. So that was probably the only thing that would be a stain, if anything, because the rest of it was fantastic. I enjoyed the characters; they were a lot of fun. Hina, or Odin as she calls herself, was fantastic. Yota was a great kind of straight man character throughout the entire comedy that they had in it. Even the dad showing up and them kind of commenting on, I mean, are you off from work? Do you still have work? Was great. But again, the powerful moment of Kyoko and her mother was heartbreaking, and it just was several punches to the stomach over the series of time in her episode. And again, the kind of the character that kind of loses themselves was, like I said, a more of a personal thing, but it hit home for me. Having a father that had dementia, for those that don't know, it's those kind of things that were just really well done. And it is something that's technically going back to something like Air TV. I probably have a similar experience with, but it did it, and I'm glad that they chose PA Works to do it, because PA Works did a phenomenal job on the actual animation and the visual style and everything. It looked great. The characters looked great, and to have this great story to go along with great characters and fantastic animation, it turned out to be a great show that I did really enjoy. Now, again, Yoshiyuki Asai, who is most known for Charlotte and Fate Apocrypha, again, it may have been something that a lot of people took a lot of pause on. But I think it worked out for it in the end. He did a great job of directing it, even though, again, I guess the directing was probably at fault for him for inserting Hirota the way that he did. But again, everybody else did a fantastic job on this, and I think it shows kind of a return of Jun Maeda and Studio Key's work going forward. Hopefully, this is a good sign for us. The days of rewrite, and again, I didn't have too much problem with it that others did. Charlotte, maybe in the past, and we can look back again and see them as that studio that brings us these shows that just punch us in the stomach and we don't know why we watch them. that is the question you always have when you watch these shows done by them, is like, why am I gonna walk into this baseball bat again? I know it's gonna hit me in the face. So definitely, if it's something that if you enjoyed, Clannad, Angel Beats, Little Busters, Air TV, Canon, all those older shows that has so much emotion in them, and you're looking for that experience again, and maybe you were burnt by Rewrite and Charlotte and these other titles, give them another shot. I honestly think you should give them another shot, because I think they are kind of returning to form, and this is a great form for them to come back in. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review of The Day I Became a God, or Kami-sama ni Nata Hi. Again, if you guys enjoy this content, definitely subscribe to us, support us through Patreon. All those links are in the description, and y'all take care.